Hello everybody. Thank you for coming along to today. It's going to be a really short and snappy session today because I just want to talk a little bit about hue. So hopefully you've already got the email and you've seen the video with your challenge for day one of the 5-day challenge. And day one is to choose something, anything you like. Can be something very simple or something like a rose or anything you like that's a good example. Just a petal from a rose, really good. And all I want you to do is to judge its hue. See if you can judge its hue, and then stick a post on Instagram or Facebook for me. Hello Anna, good to see you. With what you think the hue is. And to help you on the video, I've gone a little bit into what the hues are. So we've got, these are all 5, so don't worry about the numbers, but we've got R, which stands for red, Y, which stands for yellow, and then between those two, you've got YR, which is obviously yellow-red. So then you have green, which is just G, and then green-yellow, GY, blue, blue-green, purple, purple-blue, and red-purple. So it's really, really simple and intuitive. Hi, Candy, good to see you. In terms of hue, so we're not worrying about the value and the chroma bit. We're going to talk about those on other days. But I just want to show you why hue is a really useful idea, especially when you're mixing color, okay? So let's say this is something that I get asked about a lot, and I think there's an awful lot of misconception about as well, to be honest, about how to, people use different phrases for this, but I call it reducing the chroma. Hi, Anne. Good to see you. Some people call it neutralizing. Neutralizing is probably the most popular word for it. It basically means making a color less colorful and more gray, okay? Hello, Marcos. Good to see you. So let's say, so I've got 3 colors here, right? I've got titanium white. We don't need to worry about that one too much at the moment. I've got yellow ochre, and I've got raw umber. Okay. So although these 2 colors, yellow ochre and raw umber, may seem wildly different, and in fact they are. I mean, you could say that this is a yellow orange perhaps, and this is a brown. Now in Munsell terms, because I'm going to be banging on a lot about Munsell right throughout the color challenge, okay? So in Munsell terms, they are both yellow reds, okay? So this is a yellow red as well. It's an orange. You would call it an orange probably if you don't already do Munsellicious colors. So a brown is basically a low value orange. Okay, so let's say I wanted to reduce the chroma of the yellow ochre. Now I know a lot of people would probably tell you the best way to reduce the chroma of a color or to neutralize it is to mix in the complement. Okay, well, first of all, I think a lot of people would have a bit of difficulty deciding what the complement was, okay, of yellow ochre. I mean, you might say it's, well, it's an orange basically. So if you already knew it was an orange, then reducing the chroma means basically using a blue of some description, okay? Hello, Judy. Good to see you. Hello, Bernie. Glad to see you too. So a lot of people would do this, right? So, okay, so let's say you've got yellow ochre. You want to reduce the chroma. You want to neutralize it, mixing some blue. It will reduce the chroma. It absolutely will. But what you'll end up with is a different color entirely. So it's also darkened it. It has dropped the chroma for sure. It's also darkened it and it's made it green. So whilst it is reducing the chroma, it's also doing lots of other things you don't want. So what about if, let's say I started with yellow ochre again, and this time I brought the blue up to the same value with white. Okay, so it won't darken it. We'll give it the best chance we can give it, okay? So I'm going to start with blue. This is as if you were complement mixing. I'm not picking on complement mixing. I just want to demonstrate something here. So let's get those to about the same value. Okay, roughly the same. And then I'll take the yellow ochre and I'll mix some blue into it. It is dropping the chroma, it surely is. But it's not changing the value much this time, is it really? But it is making it green. It's changing the hue. So what you're ending up with is a different color altogether. So you get some very unpredictable results doing it that way, okay? So I want to show you how we would do this in the Munsell world. So this is a page from the Munsell Book of Colour. It's a big book, this is, and this is 10YR. Don't have to worry too much about the number, but basically this is YR, yellow, red, and a 10YR means it's slightly more towards yellow, okay? So the closest colour, the closest chip that I have in my Munsell book is going to be about there to yellow ochre. Yellow ochre is possibly slightly more yellow, but that's pretty close, right? So let's say it's about there. It's about that one. What if I wanted to reduce the chroma? So this is the Munsell book, the chips in the Munsell book. This is a perceptually accurate scale, okay? So let's say I wanted to reduce the chroma by 2 steps down to there. Keep the value the same. Okay, so what is the best way to do that? The best way to reduce the chroma, or to neutralize it, if you like. Hello, Christina. And hi, Margie. Good to see you. Sunflowers. Christina says, I love flowers, but I adore sunflowers. Is it something that you might do in the future? Well, I wouldn't rule it out, but I'm obsessed with the roses at the moment, so you never know. Okay, so I want to reduce the chroma of this color down to there. The best way to do that is with a lower chroma color of about the same hue. Now this here is raw umber. So if I get my page out again, raw umber is actually a pretty good match for this chip right down the bottom. So the hue is about the same. These two colors, yellow ochre and raw umber, are a lot more closely related than you might think. Now, if I just mix that into there, obviously it's going to change the value as well. So I'm going to bring this up to about the same value. I'm not going to bother about making this completely perfect with that. I just want to show you something here. A little bit more white maybe. And I'm choosing white because white will bring the value up without really changing the hue. This is titanium white, by the way. So let's check that. So that they're about the same value now, right? So if I take this color and I want it to be like this, get a bit of my yellow ochre, mix in some of this, and it drops the chroma without really changing the hue very much. And because I mixed it to the same value, it stays at about the same value. I've actually dropped it further there than I need to. Now the yellow ochre is slightly more yellow than the original chip anyway, but hopefully you can see this is a way more reliable way to do it than either this, which is wildly different, or this, which is a different hue altogether, okay? So the cleanest way to do it, the most reliable way to do it, is with a lower chroma color of the same value and roughly the same hue. It doesn't actually have to be perfect. I mean, all we're trying to do is get a level of control which is going to stop our paintings going awry, okay? So if you wanted to drop the chroma of a color, that's how you would do it. And that's why, or neutralize a color, if you want to call it that. And that's why knowing the hue of your tube paints is so important. And that's why we don't think of this as a brown. We don't think of it as an earth. We certainly don't think of it as raw umber in Munsell land. We think of it as a yellow red, a low value, low chroma, yellow red. And this also is a yellow red, higher value and higher chroma, okay? So if you're doing the challenge today, don't forget to choose something, whatever it happens to be, that you want to match the colour of. Maybe I'll do one later. Maybe I'll do this beautiful jug. Wonder what the... Actually, that's quite close, but the chrome is even higher than that. But this, for instance, is definitely a yellow-red. It's an orange, right? But it's more towards red. And you kind of get better at this in time. So another thing that's worth pointing out is that all of these colours here are all within, not that one because that's a yellow, all within the yellow-red range. I've got permanent orange, burnt sienna, burnt umber, transparent red oxide, along with my yellow ochre and my raw umber. They're all really, really close. Some are more yellow-orange and some are more... I'm going to be popping on every day for the next few days. Next 4 days, I'm going to do short sessions like this on an aspect of colour mixing. The final day's challenge will be to actually mix your colour, okay? And on that day, on Friday, I'm also going to do a longer kind of a one session workshop, just to show you some more in-depth stuff about mixing and how it can help you nail the light and the shadow. Okay, thanks very much for coming along, and I'll see you tomorrow. Don't forget to do your challenge.